and thank you to all our wonderful speakers. Do we have any questions? Yes,
I have
there's
a
hand
question.
up there. Sorry. Do I have a marshal who could take the mic around? Thank you.
Thank you. My question is, if immigration is so important, and a lot of us quite like immigration, if immigration was so important, why isn't anybody asking Theresa May at the dispatch box in question time why she didn't on EU immigration that she could easily? And if she was so focused on EU immigration, why not suspend the freedom of movement regulations which you're allowed to? Law.
Yeah, I think people don't really realise that we've already got controls within the EU about movement. I mean, people are only supposed to move as workers in any case, and that we've been more lax in Britain in any case. So we could do something on that front. Everybody probably knows that there's something like 2.8 million people from Europe in Britain, something like 2 million people from Britain in Europe. The difference is the people in Europe tend to be older people retired in France and Spain who are using the health service. The people here are contributing tax, on average 35% more tax, and they're consuming public services, which is why all the forecasts have been revised down in terms of economic growth, because we won't have immigration. The other thing to mention, and perhaps it's a bit controversial, it's certainly my view that one of the reasons that Vladimir Putin was bombing so ferociously at vulnerable and targets hospitals, families and all the rest of it in Syria was simply to provoke more and more people towards the open hands of Germany, who in the name of human rights and liberty said you can come here, so that could stoke up problems to try and create Brexit and fracture Europe when Vladimir Putin wants to do what he likes in the Ukraine. And I noticed he suddenly stopped bombing 6 weeks before Brexit, saying the job is done. As soon as the Brexit vote was over, he started bombing people again. So we need to be wise to what's really happening in our country.
Okay, over to Sarah.
Just before answering that, can I say that Nick Hopkinson has inspired a new hashtag, Take Our Country Forward. On free movement, as has been said, Theresa May set this absurd migration target. As we know, more non-EU migrants come than EU migrants. The Leavers went round promising in the campaign that if we didn't have all these Europeans coming, then there'd be more visas for Indians and other South Asians, which is a very divisive instrument. And of course, it's another one of the lies. Just watch the attempt to get a free trade agreement with India, where one of the demands will be, or Turkey, will be more visas for workers. And I believe that we should fight and stand up for free movement. It's a two-way street. Not only, obviously, those are people living in the rest of the EU working, but people who've retired in other EU countries and are going through the same terrible anxiety and impact on their lives as EU nationals here. It's a complete moral disgrace that a Prime Minister who says she wants to create a fair, united country is creating disarray and depression and nervous anxiety in the lives of millions of people. It is also, as has been said, economically illiterate because of the tax paid and the way that people... I have reason, my husband was seriously ill 18 months ago, and without those European nurses and doctors in the hospital, he may not be alive today. Sorry, I get a bit emotional about it, as you can hear. But, there may be, one of the things, we had a recent exchange in the House of Lords, and it appears that the government hasn't got a clue whether it is, and it appears not to be, actually properly implementing EU law on the fact that if people haven't got a job within a certain time, then they can't stay. The government is not doing that. But on the other hand, when EU migrants who have an automatic right to stay after 5 years residence here, when they apply to the Home Office for a document to attest to that, they are being put through a horrendous bureaucratic nightmare. An 85-page form which asks them to account for everything they've done at any point in the last 30 years, if they've been here for 30 years, and tells them they have to provide evidence of having private medical insurance, even though they're allowed, as of right, to use the NHS. It is Orwellian or Kafkaesque or whatever the proper analogy is. So it's cruel, it's horribly cruel. We should make, and there's cross-party support, calling on the government to make a unilateral guarantee to the 3 million EU migrants that they can stay, which would, of course, it's inconceivable. And those, I am no bargaining chip, as has been said. And I no less a person than Michael Howard, let that sink in, former leader of the Conservative Party, has himself said it is inconceivable that if we did that, that wouldn't be followed by our EU partners making the same guarantee. There is absolutely no need to wait, no justification to wait, and we must ensure that our young people have the opportunities. And I gather this is causing great dissension within families, which is very sad. But young people are reproaching their parents for having sold them down the river in terms of their future and their aspirations. Don't close off our young people's future.